Does the IRS take on any of the investment risk on their portion of your 401k? No, you do. You take on all the risk. Does the IRS pay any of the investment fees on their portion of your 401k? No, you do. You pay all of the fees. So you take on all of the risk, you pay all of the fees, and yet the IRS gets the benefit of or gets to reap almost 40% of the harvest that you created. Is that fair? Now, let me ask you something else, because it's just going to get worse. If that pissed you off, this is going to piss you off even more. Hey there, I'm Ron Sneller, registered financial consultant and investment advisor representative. Thanks for joining me here today for this educational video. Today, we're going to talk about why the traditional methods of maxing out your pre-tax IRAs and your pre-tax 401ks is probably not going to be a very good move for you. But before we get in depth here, I just wanted to take a second to commend you for investing your time in order to watch this video and improve your financial literacy. You're obviously really serious about making the right moves with your money and making those moves right now. You know, many of my clients are really concerned about everything going on with the economy, with the financial markets, and with the threat of rising taxes in the future. And maybe you're the same way. Maybe you have the same concerns as them. And you know something? You're right to be concerned about this. And the financial planning industry, they're not helping. They've been giving you the same cookie cutter advice since the 1980s. But a lot's changed since Ronald Reagan left office. Like the stock market, for example. The stock market is now very, very volatile. Over the last 25 years, we've had 4 major corrections, with 2 of those being outright crashes of about 50% or more. And what about our country's fiscal mess? On your screen, you see the usdebtclock.org. You can see that our country is over $30 trillion in debt. And the country's 2 big retirement programs that all of our retirees rely on, Social Security and Medicare, they are both underfunded to the tune of tens of trillions of dollars. And so what does that mean? That means that they're both projected to become insolvent within the next 10 to 15 years. Yet the baby boom generation, they are still retiring en masse, more and more every year. And so they're creating more and more pressure on this broke system with each and every passing year. So how are the government officials going to fix this problem and fund these programs? And the answer is taxes. So future tax rates are likely to go back to some of those higher levels that we've seen in the past, and higher taxes will likely be a huge threat to your retirement lifestyle. So over the course of today's class, for the next 30 minutes or so, we're going to get real high level, and we're going to smash some paradigms and have fun doing so. In fact, I have never had more fun in my entire career than I am having right now, teaching people and educating them on how they're able to take back control of their money, on how they're able to build as much wealth as they want outside of the volatility of the stock market, how they're able to build that wealth off the radar screen of the IRS for income tax purposes, how they're able to do all of this and create a more comfortable and certain and secure retirement, a retirement where if you do this right, the way that I'm going to teach it, you won't even have to file an income tax return legally. Let's check this out. Now, this is a huge paradigm shift from what we've all been told by the financial news media and the financial planning industry. We've been told to max out our pre-tax 401ks, IRAs, and try to accumulate as much money within those vehicles as we possibly can. Now, the problem with that advice is that we are not beginning with the end in mind. You see, that end goal, this ultimate goal, is retirement income. And by maxing out these plans, we may actually be putting ourselves in a position to come out behind rather than ahead. How? Well, because if we put all of our money into these pre-tax plans, when we go to take the money out, we're actually putting ourselves at the end of the line. We're putting ourselves 7th in line to actually receive money when we take distributions from this 401k. So the first person in line, the first person to get money before you is your greedy Uncle Sam. By that, I mean the Internal Revenue Service, because the federal income tax has to be paid. And number two, before you get your money, there's a state income tax that needs to be paid. And then depending on where you live, there may be a local or a municipal income tax that has to be paid. Like when I worked in the city of Detroit, I had local income taxes taken out of my paycheck. So we've got the federal income tax, the state income tax, the local income tax. And then number four, we have the provisional income calculation. Again, because 401k and IRA distributions, that is fully reportable, fully taxable income, it goes into the provisional income calculation to determine how much of your Social Security benefits are going to become taxable. Yes, by taking distributions from your IRA, it can make your Social Security taxable. Up to 85% of your Social Security can become taxable. Number five, the distributions go into a calculation for the Medicare surcharge tax, which can actually increase your Medicare premium. Number six, we got to pay advisory fees to the financial institutions or the financial advisor managing your account. So all of these people or institutions get paid before you. And finally, number seven, you get paid what's left. So I want to help you with a paradigm shift here, because if you don't think this model is a good one, if you want to learn how to move yourself to the front of this line and get paid first, this is what you need to understand, this paradigm shift. You do not need a government-sponsored pre-tax qualified retirement plan in order to retire. What you need is access to money. And there are better ways to accumulate that money and better vehicles to store that money in that will allow you to have more predictable after-tax income than these traditional 401ks and IRAs. Okay. Now let's look at some examples here. So we're going to look at an example of somebody who's contributing money to a qualified retirement plan. And for this first example, we're going to look at somebody who is in the 20% tax bracket. Okay. So you make a $10,000 contribution to your pre-tax 401k, or maybe you make a $10,000 contribution to you and your spouse's IRA. Okay. Now we make that contribution with this great idea. We've been told that the government is going to let us use their money to make ourselves money, right? We're getting a tax deduction. We're getting to use the government's money in order to make ourselves money. We've been told that that is now our money. It's not. It's not. You want me to prove it? Okay, I'll prove it. Spend it. Go ahead. Cash it out and spend it. Because if you do that, or you attempt to do that, you want to know what's going to happen? Well, the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to have to pay the income tax. And so in the 20% income tax bracket, $2,000 of that, it's not yours. It's going to the federal government or the Internal Revenue Service. Okay. So now you are left with $8,000 to spend, right? Well, not exactly, because there are fees or a sales charge on the mutual funds held within that 401k. Okay. And then on top of that, because you're not 59 and a half years old yet, you're actually going to get hit with the 10% penalty for an early withdrawal. And that 10% penalty is not levied on the $8,000 that's actually yours. It's levied on that entire $10,000 distribution. Okay. So you're going to pay a $1,000 penalty. So on this $10,000, if you needed to get it out, how much of it's actually yours? Just $6,600. It's just $6,600. You see, if you're in the 20% tax bracket, you would actually need $12,500 to net $10,000. So if you want to take this $6,600 that's actually yours, if we invested it and if we could grow it at a safe 6%, how long would that take you to grow to that $12,500 so then you could net the $10,000? The answer? 11 years. 11 years. This is a good investment for who? For you? No. This is a good investment for the Internal Revenue Service. Now, if we move you up into the 37% tax bracket, it gets even worse, because now we don't have a tax burden that will allow you to net $8,000. We have to add $1,700 to your tax burden. So how much is really yours? Not $6,600. Now, if you're a high income earner, now that number goes down. Just $4,900 is yours. Less than half. So you tell me, who is really in control here? You see, this is not your money. This is a partnership, and it always has been. And this is a partnership where the government makes the rules and the government controls the taxes. Now, look, if you're okay with that, then great, you're okay with that. But if you're not, Well, that's why you're investing the time to watch this video and why I am spending the time to educate you and teach you on the ramifications of the decisions that you're making with your money. You need to know the truth. Again, you do not need a government-sponsored, pre-tax, qualified retirement plan in order to retire. All you need is access to money, and there are better ways. All right, transitioning now, you're going to see on your screen a circle. Now, this circle, for our video, this circle represents all of the money that you'll ever have in a lifetime, the money you'll earn, the money you'll accumulate, the money that you'll grow to eventually produce an income when you retire. This circle is called your circle of wealth. Your circle of wealth. Now, for our purposes, let's assume that this circle is actually a pie. So I'm going to take a knife and I'm going to cut into the pie. I'm going to start a pie slice. That's that white line that you see from the top of the circle down into the middle. Now I'm going to hand you the knife and I'm going to say, kind sir, good ma'am, what I would like you to do for me is I want you to finish by making a second cut. I want you to finish for me how big of a pie slice you would like to voluntarily give to the IRS each and every month of your retirement. Or said a different way, if this circle were your net worth, draw for me how big of a pie slice you would like to give to the Internal Revenue Service on a voluntary basis. Are we thinking that you want to give them 20%, 40%, half, or more? Look, and for those people who don't mind paying the 30%, the 50%, or even more, God love you. We appreciate you and we need you. We need the extra tax revenue. We need money to get all of those potholes fixed. And with your retirement, if you want to pay to fix those damn roads, go right ahead. But not me and not my clients. Because when we retire, we are done. We are done paying income tax. Because the tax code says that you are responsible for one tax. Any income earned is taxable at the time when the income is earned. But what does Wall Street tell us to do? They tell us to defer part of our earned income to the future. They say, take the deduction now so you can invest even more. Well, that's good for them because they get more money under management and they make more fees on it. But what about us? How does it work out for us? It puts us into a situation where we're actually paying taxes for our entire lives, potentially much higher tax rates in the future. Look, this is what I'm going to tell you. Wall Street and the entire financial planning industry, they love your 401k. The IRS, they love your 401k. In fact, I have a special nickname for all of these financial entities kind of working together to create this narrative, right? Between Wall Street and the big banks and the IRS and the Federal Reserve. You see, I call them the financial matrix. Now, this financial matrix, they create a narrative or a messaging, and they beat you over the head with this messaging as far as conditioning you or programming you so it influences the way that you think, because they want you to take certain actions with your money. And those actions they want you to take, no doubt it goes to profit them. It goes to profit the matrix much more than it's ever going to benefit the people. So we have been told over and over and over that the smart thing to do is to max out our 401ks. Now, look, let's say that we did that. And let's say that you were one of the lucky few who became what they call a 401k millionaire. Congratulations, man. You're a millionaire. Can you believe it? But you have to remember something. This $1 million, it isn't even yours because you haven't paid any income tax on it. Now, you're kind of starting to understand now that you're retired and you got this $1 million there, you're starting to understand that this is a partnership with the IRS. Now, let's say that you got sick of it and you wanted to terminate this partnership with Uncle Sam. You wanted to walk away from the IRS. Well, what would happen? Under current tax law, you know how much you'd be taking with you? Only about $600,000. Only about $600,000 is yours because almost $400,000 or about 40% of that money actually belongs to the Internal Revenue Service. But let me ask you something. Does the IRS take on any of the investment risk on their portion of your 401k? No, you do. You take on all the risk. Does the IRS pay any of the investment fees on their portion of your 401k? No, you do. You pay all of the fees. So you take on all of the risk, you pay all of the fees, and yet the IRS gets the benefit of or gets to reap almost 40% of the harvest that you created. Is that fair? Now, let me ask you something else, because it's just going to get worse. If that pisses you off, this is going to piss you off even more. Let me ask you this. Your investment advisor and the financial institutions who manage your 401k, are they making their investment fees based on the $600,000 that actually belongs to you? Or are they making their investment fees? Are they making their percentage on the entire $1 million balance? Ding, 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 ding. The answer is they're making their percentage on the entire 1 million. They're making their fees based on the entire $1 million balance. So aren't they actually using the government's money to artificially and significantly inflate their own fees? That's a 40% raise they just gave themselves. So don't they actually have a vested interest in getting more money into your 401k, even though at the end of the day, that money really isn't even yours to spend? And at the same time, aren't they, by giving you this advice, aren't they actually exposing you to the risk of higher taxation in the future when you go to draw that money out for your retirement income? And yet this plan is supposedly in your best interest. And you guys, it's going to get even worse, because out of this $1 million 401k, how much money do you actually get to spend every year in retirement? Well, listen, based on the volatility of the stock market throughout history, because there's been researchers and economists who have tracked the data all the way back to the 1920s to look at what is the safe withdrawal rate, like as a percentage of your portfolio based on historical stock market performance and historical interest rates and bond rates. How much can you actually take out per year during retirement? And the answer is just 4%. So that means on a $1 million portfolio at a 4% safe withdrawal rate, you only get to spend $40,000 a year. Not so fast. That $40,000 you see there, that hasn't been taxed yet. So go ahead and subtract $5,000 or $10,000 off that amount. So you're living on probably less than $3,000 of net income per month. This is what I call a broke millionaire. They think they have a lot of money because on paper it says they do, but they're not able to spend very much of it due to stock market risk and due to the taxation. So they're not able to increase, or oftentimes they're not even able to maintain their standard of living. So when you look at all of these taxes, you look at all of these fees, I want to ask you a question. This model, whose retirement plan really is this? Yours or theirs? And that, my friends, is why the IRS and Wall Street love your 401k much more than you do. Now, look, if this is starting to make sense, and if you would like to stop the bleeding and take back control of your money and take back control of your financial future, hang in there for the next 15 minutes, because I'm going to teach you a way that you're able to do that.